Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to Idioms Insight.
Our mission here is pretty simple. We take a whole stack of sources, articles, research notes, personal accounts, and we distill them into actionable, high-impact knowledge for you.
We're basically here to give you the blueprint for being instantly well-informed on just about anything.
And today, we're tackling a topic that might seem, deceptively simple.
It really does. But it's actually, and this is the key, it's the single most powerful tool for immediate conversational fluency in any language.
And that is?
Describing your daily routine. It's your foundation. I mean, if you can master this, you can talk about your life, your priorities, and your schedule with total confidence.
Okay, let's unpack this a little. We've gone through a really remarkable set of sources that have just dissected this whole subject.
Right.
And they focus really intently, not on just generic textbook vocabulary, but on what they call the conversational architecture itself.
It's less like a vocabulary lesson and more like a roadmap, a roadmap to building instant rapport with someone.
Exactly. The mission is to give you a structure so robust that you can talk about yourself fluently for maybe 2 or 3 minutes without those awkward silences.
Or just repeating yourself. And our sources point out this structure is, it's essential everywhere.
Like where?
Job interviews, for one, but also just as an icebreaker in a new social setting, or even just, deepening a casual friendship. It's the skeleton that 80% of personal conversations hang on.
And what makes this deep dive, I think, particularly rich is the cultural specificity that's just embedded in all of our sources.
Oh, absolutely. They draw really heavily on detailed South Asian routines, which gives us these amazing nuances and high context vocabulary that you just don't get in a generic English lesson.
So we're going to break this conversational architecture down. We've got 8 core chronological sections.
Yep, we're going to map out the entire 24-hour cycle. We'll start with what we're calling the dawn patrol, waking up and getting ready.
Okay.
Then we move into hygiene, preparation, and morning fuel. After that, the commute and the work-study structure.
And the middle of the day.
We anchor the midday with lunch and energy management, then transition into the evening wind down, and we finish up with dinner and the night cycle.
And at the end, we're going to analyze 2 full sample routines just to see the whole machine running perfectly.
Exactly.
All right, let's jump right in. Starting with the first battle of the day, the alarm clock. So the journey to the day, it always starts with the clock. And if you want to be effective in describing your routine, you really have to nail the timing language first.
You do.
Our sources draw this really crucial distinction between stating exact times and just providing estimates.
And the distinction is, it's non-negotiable if you want to sound like a native speaker.
Right.
When you're asked about your routine, you just don't want to sound like a digital clock.
Yeah.
We use definitive statements, but only when they're absolutely necessary.
Like, my shift starts at 9:00 a.m. sharp.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
But for personal actions, we rely so heavily on flexibility.
So give us the phrases that really make the difference here.
It's about moving from that robotic, I wake up at 6:30, to something much more conversational and natural, like I usually wake up around 7.
Okay.
The use of usually and around, it's like conversational camouflage. It implies you have a schedule, but it also acknowledges the slight shifts of real life. It just makes you more relatable.
And building on that variability, you have to have the language to signal that life isn't perfectly linear, right? How do we show that shift between the work week and the weekend?
Our sources highlight the power of immediate contrast. If you just say, I wake up at 7, the listener has no idea if that's every single day.
Sure, it could be.
But if you lead with, on weekdays, I wake up at 7, you're setting up an expectation for the contrast.
Which you then deliver.
Immediately. But on Sundays, I wake up late, sometimes as late as 10 o'clock. That single pair of sentences tells the listener everything they need to know about your work ethic and, your leisure priorities.
Now, here's where we go deep. Moving beyond just the clock time, the conversational quality, it improves so dramatically when you add feelings and behaviors.
This is where we humanize the whole routine.
Anyone can say, I wake up at 7, but what are the actions that come right after?
Let's start with that universally relatable struggle, the alarm ringing. Our sources specifically include this phrase, my alarm rings at 6:30, but I usually hit snooze twice.
And why is that detail, hit snooze twice, so powerful?
Because it's a sticky, memorable detail. It shows a little vulnerability, a little realism. You're moving the description from just a dry schedule to a human experience.
It also lets you immediately define your relationship with the morning. Are you one of those super disciplined early birds, or do you, like me, fight the process?
And you need to be prepared for both scenarios. If you struggle, you can say something like, I'm definitely not a morning person, so waking up is always difficult for me.
Okay, that sets a certain expectation.
It does. But if you're naturally rested, the phrase is more like, I wake up feeling fresh when I've slept 8 hours. We use these simple emotional adjectives like fresh or difficult to give the listener a snapshot of your mental state. It's just far more engaging.
So you've wrestled with the alarm, you've admitted your struggle, and now you have to physically get out of bed. We need those transition verbs.
The verbs are simple, but the sequence, that's the key. It starts with the absolute basic. I get up or I get out of bed.
But there's a finesse to it, isn't there?
There is. Our sources suggest inserting this momentary pause, a reflective moment, that adds so much authenticity. You don't just jump straight into movement.
So what does that reflective moment look like in speech?
It's something like, I sit on the edge of the bed for a minute. Sometimes I'm scrolling my phone just for the news headlines. This detail gives the listener a moment to breathe with you.
Okay, and then?
Then the physical action begins. I stretch, or I do some light stretching, and finally, we get to the first major debated task of the day.
Ah, the great bed-making divide.
Precisely. And this is a great conversational hook. You can describe yourself as highly disciplined. I make my bed immediately, which, it signals an organized, controlled personality.
Or the alternative.
The alternate and often more relatable counterpoint. I'm usually running late, so I just leave it messy till evening. These contrasting choices, discipline versus a rush, they make the routine dynamic and really engaging.
You're giving the listener insight into your personality through these tiny little actions.
Exactly.
Okay, so once we're out of bed, the next logical step is the bathroom routine. And this is where we can really perfect the use of sequential language.
That first, then after that, finally structure.
Exactly. We need to analyze the typical sequence, starting with what you do right away.
The standard opening, it establishes immediate focus. I brush my teeth and wash my face first. That's the baseline. But what comes next is where the cultural specifics of our source material really shine through.
The analysis of bath styles.
Right, and we see a whole comprehensive spectrum here. It really demonstrates the global reality of, getting clean.
It's not just one way.
Not at all. We move from efficiency, I take a quick shower or a hot shower on cold days, to the specificity of a bucket bath.
We should really define that for listeners who might not be familiar.
Good idea. A bucket bath, or balulti snan, is common in areas where water conservation is really important, or where a Western-style shower just isn't available.
Using that term immediately grounds the conversation in a very particular real-world context.
It's a powerful word. It conveys the whole setting.
It does. And what follows immediately after that bath, it's a rapid sequence. After the bath, I dry myself with a towel and get dressed. This transitions us right into the presentation stage.
How we prepare to face the world.
Exactly.
Well,
Moving to presentation and appearance, we're talking about hair and what you wear. And this requires a slightly different set of verbs.
grooming and self-care. Right. We use eye comb, brush, or style my hair, depending on the complexity. And the sources provide fantastic, specific cultural context about makeup for women.
So not just, I put on makeup.
No, much better. We get the descriptive and typical language. I do light makeup. Or even more specifically, I put on some kajal and lipstick.
And we should pause here again, just for our global audience. What is kajal?
Kajal is a kind of traditional, often dark eyeliner or kohl. It's extremely popular in South Asia. And mentioning kajal specifically is key.
Why is that?
Because if you're describing a routine, using that specific term shows a much deeper level of engagement and authenticity than just saying eyeliner. It's a nuance that just elevates your conversation.
And the clothing choice itself, that tells the listener exactly what environment you're heading into for the day.
Absolutely. It defines your status and commitment. Are you wearing office clothes, a college uniform, or something more relaxed like a casual kurta?
And kurta is?
It's a loose, long tunic, often worn as casual or semi-formal wear. Including these terms adds this valuable local flavor and conversational authenticity. It really demonstrates a command of these high-context nouns.
Okay, now we get to the glue that holds this whole segment together, measuring time. This is where we need to transform that long list of actions into an efficient summary.
This is so critical. If you just list 15 actions, the listener's going to get bored. But when you insert time estimates, you demonstrate control and respect for the listener's attention.
So what are the phrases we need to master?
Phrases like, it takes me about 25-30 minutes to get ready. That's your summary statement.
But you can also break it down for variety, can't you?
Exactly. For specific focus, you might say, I spend only 10 minutes in the bathroom because I take a quick shower. Or the comprehensive disciplined approach. I try to finish my entire morning routine within 45 minutes.
That conveys a lot about planning.
Discipline and planning, and it invites the listener to comment on whether that's even possible for them. It creates a dialogue.
Okay, so moving on from preparation to fuel, our sources really emphasize breakfast. They describe it explicitly as sacred in Indian routines.
That's a key cultural takeaway. If you skip breakfast in this context, it often signals something's wrong, like an extreme rush. It's noteworthy.
The default is a dedicated meal.
It is. So if you want your conversation to be accurate, you need to devote some time to describing this meal.
Let's do that. Let's really get into the specific examples provided because they're fantastic conversational details and vocabulary boosts. We should define them as we go.
The variety itself is conversation fodder. Let's start with the quick, satisfying, savory options. First, chai plus paratha plus pickle.
And a paratha is a type of flatbread, right?
A flatbread, often stuffed, like with spiced potato or layered. It's pretty substantial.
Okay, what else is common?
We have poha with sev. Poha is flattened rice cooked with onions and spices. It's very light. And sev are these thin, crunchy chickpea flour noodles you put on top. Then there are the healthier, more modern alternatives. Upma oats with fruits. Upma is a thick porridge made from semolina.
And I see more familiar Western choices on the list, too.
Right. Bread with butter jam plus a boiled egg. And, of course, the heavy South Indian staple, idli sambar plus filter coffee.
We should define that one, too.
Idli are soft, fluffy, steamed rice cakes. And sambar is a flavorful lentil and vegetable stew. Every single item on this list is a high-impact noun you can just drop into conversation.
And it's not just what you eat, but how you eat it. The sources contrast a slow breakfast with a rushed one.
And you need language that captures that contrast. The detailed slow version is something like, I usually have 2 aloo parathas with curd and a big glass of strong chai.
See the details there. The type of paratha, the curd, which is yogurt, the big drink.
Right. And it's eaten slowly while checking my phone or reading the news. This implies leisure and peace.
Versus the busy day alternative.
The language shrinks dramatically. On busy days, I just grab a banana and a cup of coffee on the way. The choice between aloo parathas and a banana is so visually different. It's discipline versus convenience. You need to be able to describe both.
Okay, so fueled up and dressed, it's time for segment 3, the journey dynamics. This is that transition from the private space of home to the public world of work.
And it starts with a specific departure time. Pinning down the exact moment you leave is key. I leave home at 8:10. Or maybe around 8:15.
Now, what's really fascinating in our source material is the sheer complexity and mix of transport options. It's not just a car or a train.
No, it's this whole cross-section of transport that speaks volumes about urban density and infrastructure in South Asia.
So what are the modes?
The sources detail scooter, bike, metro, auto, that's an auto rickshaw cab, and the very specific shared auto.
A shared auto, what's that?
The really common and economical choice. Multiple passengers share the cost and the general route. Being able to list these different modes just shows a deep familiarity with the place.
And just like with the morning routine, you have to quantify the travel time.
Absolutely. It takes me 45 minutes to reach. But then you have to immediately introduce the necessary conversational caveat.
Traffic.
The traffic reality. It's an inevitable conversation topic in any major city around the world.
So how do you bring that up without just sounding like you're complaining?
You use local context. The source is this brilliant example. Traffic is always bad in the morning, especially near Charbagh.
And Charbagh is a landmark.
It's a famous railway station area, a massive traffic choke point in Lucknow. Using a specific landmark like that grounds the conversation in a shared reality. It signals that this is a real experienced frustration, not some hypothetical traffic jam.
Okay, let's pause here because this is a perfect moment for a conversational blueprint. How do we turn all that mode, time, and caveat into one single, natural answer?
The role-play structure makes it simple. A friend asks, how do you go to work? You combine all 3 elements.
Go on.
I usually take my scooter. It takes about 40 minutes to reach, but sometimes if the traffic near Charbagh is crazy, it makes it 55 minutes.
That answer is so efficient. It's detailed and it's completely natural.
Exactly. The listener gets the mode, the expected time, and the justification for any delays, all in one go.
Perfect transition into the core of the day. Starting the work or study day. Arrival is pegged around 9. What happens right away?
Before the actual tasks begin, our sources point to this crucial social ritual. Reaching the office around 9:00 and having morning tea with colleagues.
That's a really significant cultural detail.
It is. It shows the workday often starts with a few minutes of social connection and camaraderie, not just diving straight into tasks. It's relationship maintenance, baked right into the start of the day.
Okay, now let's talk about the core activities. I feel like we need to expand on how to describe work with different levels of detail.
Good point. If you're talking to a stranger, generic phrases are fine. I work on projects, I attend lectures. But if you're talking to a colleague, you need more detail.
So for, say, a knowledge worker, how would you structure that description?
You structure it by time blocking and prioritizing. My morning is usually focused on high-priority tasks, like responding to important emails.
In the afternoon?
After lunch, I tackle the administrative stuff. Or maybe I have a 2-hour block set aside for coding. You use verbs like prioritize, tackle, focus on.
And for someone in a more manual or physical job?
The focus shifts from abstract tasks to physical actions. I spend the first hour checking inventory and preparing the equipment, or the bulk of my day is dedicated to assisting customers on the floor. You're emphasizing duration and location. It lets you fill the time naturally.
Okay, moving toward the middle of the day, the lunch break. It serves as this midday anchor, around 1:00 or 1:30. Let's talk about the cultural significance of the daba.
The daba, or tiffin, is such a profound cultural signal. It's not just a lunchbox. It signals care, preparation, and often family support.
So the default expectation is that food is brought from home.
Strongly supported by our sources, yes. If a listener mentions bringing their daba, it communicates a lot instantly.
Like what?
Well, 1, a preference for home-cooked food. 2, a connection to the family. Someone took the time to prepare it. And 3, discipline and planning. You just know more about the person.
Let's detail the contents of the daba in our sources because the sensory details are great.
Today's example is rice, dal, hindi sabzi, and roti. It's a complete traditional meal.
And we should quickly define those.
Dal is lentil curry, hindi sabzi is an okra dish, and roti is the staple flatbread. This level of detail just elevates the conversation dramatically.
And if the daba is the norm, what's the conversational contrast to that?
The contrast is eating from the canteen. Sometimes I eat from the canteen, maybe a veg thali or biryani.
A thali being a platter with lots of small dishes.
Right. And biryani is that mixed rice dish. The contrast between home-cooked and canteen food is a really common point of discussion, which makes it excellent conversational material.
And after the fuel up, we immediately hit that universal struggle. The afternoon energy management.
The dreaded post-lunch dip.
How do we talk about that feeling conversationally?
You need language for that temporary exhaustion. It's useful to quantify it. I often feel a bit heavy or sleepy for like 20, 30 minutes after lunch. It shows self-awareness.
And how do we describe the countermeasure? What we do to stay alert?
You need an active solution. The sources suggest 2 strong action verbs. I combat this feeling by drinking black tea or coffee. Or, you could mention moving. I sometimes take a 5-minute walk around the office to refresh myself.
Problem and solution.
The highly engaging conversational segment. And finally, you wrap up the core of the day with closure. I finish work around 6:00, 6:30, and start heading home. Simple, clean verbs to signify the end of the professional day.
The structured workday is done. Now we're transitioning into the evening, which is so often dedicated to family and self-care. Our sources highlight this really strong, positive emotional shift.
And that emotional shift is a great conversational starter. You can use a phrase like, coming home feels the best. It just captures that sense of relief and transition perfectly.
Then you establish the time frame.
Right. I reach home around 7:15, 7:45, and the very first action upon arrival is shedding the stress of the day.
Getting comfortable.
Yes, the immediate post-work action is about physical comfort. I change into comfortable clothes or I freshen up. This signals that mental shift from professional to personal time.
The evening routine often seems to center on the ritual of evening chai and snacks.
It's a major social anchor for the family. And it's not just about the drink, it's about connection. The sources give us a detailed list of specific snacks, which is great for vocabulary.
What's on the list?
We see samosa, mathri, biscuits, and namkeen.
Let's clarify those for our listeners. Samosa is pretty well known, but what about Mathri and Namkeen?
Mathri is a flaky, savory Indian cracker. And namkeen is an overarching term for all kinds of savory, crunchy snacks, a trail mix of different fried ingredients.
Using those specific terms signals a much deeper level of immersion than just saying snacks.
A much deeper level. And this snack time usually overlaps with the most important part of the evening, family connection.
How do we describe that interaction?
The sources outline 3 primary paths using these strong, indispensable action verbs. Talk with parents, play with kids, or help mom in the kitchen.
Those verbs, talk, play, help, are so crucial for describing your relationship dynamics.
They are. You could say, I usually spend 45 minutes helping my mother chop vegetables. That detail is incredibly powerful.
Moving on to dinner and night activities, the timing in this cultural context often feels later than many Western routines.
It does. Dinner usually happens around 8.3 times 0000. This meal is often described with variety, usually roti sabzi or rice with curry. It's the second major meal anchor of the day.
Okay, after dinner, we're in the final phase, closing the day beautifully. And this seems to be a mix of media consumption and a sort of digital wind down.
Right, the transition from active engagement to passive relaxation. Media consumption is so varied today, and your description should reflect that modern mix.
So not just watching TV.
No, you might be watching a TV serial or the news, but you could also be focused on digital content like YouTube or cricket highlights. Mentioning cricket, for instance, immediately grounds the routine in a local context.
But the digital distraction, that's often the biggest time sink before bed.
And it has to be quantified. The sources include the specific activity of scrolling Instagram, WhatsApp, and they put a number on it.
Yeah.
I lose about 30-40 minutes just scrolling through my feed.
That detail makes the routine so current and relatable.
To virtually anyone today, yes. And the final sequence involves the last hygiene steps and prep for the next cycle. This is the mental bridge to the next morning.
Okay.
The final hygiene step is clear, brushing teeth again around 10:30. And the preparation steps, they define your final mental state before sleep.
A mix of pragmatic and reflective actions.
Exactly. Setting my alarm for tomorrow, followed by quiet activities like reading a book, doing some English practice, or praying. This is the final productive act before lights out.
And finally, the essential end verbs of the whole 24-hour cycle.
They're simple, but they define that transition to rest. I go to bed, or the outcome. I fall asleep around 11:000, 11:30. And that concludes the full cycle and sets the stage for the next day. What's so fascinating here is that we've gathered all the structural pieces. We have the verbs, the times, the cultural nouns. Now we can look at these 2 full routines and see how all the small pieces fit together.
So we move from just a list of actions to a complete story of a person's day.
A coherent, fluid 15 to 20 sentence narrative. Exactly.
Let's start with case study 1, the weekday grind. This is centered on Aman, who lives in Lucknow. We're going to trace his entire sequence chronologically.
Aman's routine is all about precision. It reflects a highly committed professional. His day begins the moment the alarm goes off, 6:40.
But he acknowledges the struggle.
He does hit snooze once and finally gets up at 6:50. He then lists this rapid, efficient sequence of preparation that's all designed to save time.
Let's analyze his language choices. Why is bucket bath with warm water better than just saying shower?
It's better because it's authentic and context-specific. Aman specifies bucket bath with warm water, followed by putting on crisp office attire and a quick bed making. The efficiency is just palpable.
The bucket bath signals something about his environment.
Right. It might be to conserve water or just reflect the facilities he has, and the crisp attire signals his professionalism. He's not wasting a second.
His breakfast is detailed and timed perfectly to his departure.
It is. His fuel up is 2 parathas with curd and strong chai, and he's finished by 7:40, specifically while checking urgent work messages. This anchors that transition from personal to professional focus.
And he leaves at 8:10.
On his scooter, and here's where that local context gives real depth to his travel time.
We talked about the traffic near Hazrat Ganj earlier. How does that detail function in Aman's story?
It functions as the uncontrollable variable. He acknowledges that traffic near Hazrat Ganj is always crazy. This isn't just a complaint, it's a necessary justification.
Why he might be late.
It explains why a 30-minute ride takes 45, so he reaches the office by 8:55. That detail is crucial because it makes his description credible and relatable.
Now let's look at his workload.
He structures his work using distinct time blocks. The morning is dominated by back-to-back client meetings till 1:20 p.m., and the afternoon shifts focus.
Okay.
After a quick lunch, the afternoon is dedicated to focus coding and client calls. He uses words like dominated and focused to really describe the intensity of his day.
And describe his evening wind down. There's a connection between his exhaustion and how he sleeps.
She departs at 6:20, gets home by 7:10, and he maintains that required family connection ritual,
Yeah.
changing, having evening chai with biscuits, and discussing the day with his mother.
Dinner is precise.
Very precise. Roti, paneer sabzi, a classic cottage cheese dish, and salad around 8.45. The mention of salad signals a health-conscious choice.
And the ultimate signifier of his productive, draining day is how quickly he falls asleep.
Absolutely. I go to bed by 11.1, Dan. I usually fall asleep within 10 minutes. That detail, falling asleep so quickly, is a high context sign of exhaustion from a highly structured, efficient day. It just closes the loop on the entire narrative.
Okay, now let's pivot completely to case study 2, the relaxed weekend contrast. This is defined by the absence of all that structure.
It's the opposite story. The core theme here is freedom, what the source calls the no-alarm torture.
So waking up is natural.
It's dictated by the body clock, 8.45, 9.3, and the morning activities are deliberately slow and self-indulgent.
The pace of the morning shifts from efficiency to luxury. How is that reflected in the language?
The shift is noted by replacing words like quick with long or proper. The morning includes a long shower and a proper breakfast.
Which is a special meal.
A leisurely meal, like poha or stuffed paratha with extra butter. This is the reward. Notice the shift from aloo paratha as necessity to stuffed paratha with extra butter as a luxury.
The morning also accommodates slower, shared tasks.
Exactly. The slow pace allows for things like helping dad with errands or going to the market to buy groceries. These are relationship-based tasks, not efficiency-based ones.
And the afternoon introduces something unique to recovery, the power nap economy. Why is that detail important?
Analyzing the midday necessity of a 1 to 2 hour power nap is vital because it explains the energy management of the whole weekend. It's a structured recovery period designed to allow for later activity.
And after the nap, the focus shifts.
It shifts entirely from professional tasks to social focus. The afternoon becomes dedicated to friends.
What are the verbs used here?
Specific leisure-oriented verbs. Meet friends for chai or play cricket in the park. And the evening shifts to extended family time, visiting relatives or watching a family movie together.
And this relaxed pacing, it inevitably leads to the late night shift, which is the final contrast to a man's weekday grind.
The behavioral change is noted by the late closing time. Watching movies or playing mobile games till 1.00, 2.000. This late activity is the direct cause of the final action. Sleeping late. The whole structure of the weekend is an intentional mirror image of the weekday, designed for maximum recovery and social connection.
So what does this all mean? We've gathered all the conversational building blocks, we've analyzed the cultural context, and we've seen them applied in these full, detailed narratives. It's time to consolidate.
Right, we need to pull together the mega cheat sheet, the core verbs that really define this routine. These are the active words that, when you use them in sequence, create true conversational fluency.
They move the listener chronologically through the day.
From passive sleep to active rest.
Let's review them. And for you, the listener, this list of over 20 verbs is the core vocabulary toolkit. If you can memorize this sequence, you own the conversation.
Okay, we begin with the transition from sleep. Wake up, hit snooze, get up a stretch, make bed.
Then the hygiene sequence.
Brush teeth, take shower bath, get dressed, then fuel and departure, have breakfast, leave home, commute, reach office, college.
The core of the day.
Start work classes, have lunch, finish work, the return and evening. Come back home, freshen up, evening snacks, spend time with family, have dinner.
And the final wind down.
Watch TV series, scroll phone. And the end, brush teeth, go to bed, fall asleep.
That list, combined with all the timing language we discussed, using around, usually the traffic caveats, it gives the listener everything they need.
It's about learning the musicality of the sequence, not just the individual notes. And that leads us directly back to the listener application.
How to actually use this.
The only way to embed this structure is to use it immediately. The suggested assignment is simple, but really effective. Describe your real weekday routine out loud.
In about 12 to 18 sentences.
Using full sentences and natural phrasing. Do this 3 times in a row and focus on increasing the flow each time.
And the second part of the challenge provides that crucial contrast.
Describe your dream weekend routine. The aspirational version where you hit every leisure goal. Use terms like long shower and extra butter, and you go to bed late.
Practicing both the disciplined reality and the flexible dream solidifies the vocabulary for both kinds of schedules.
It proves you've achieved fluency through structured conversation, not just rote memorization. It's a difference between knowing the ingredients and, being able to actually cook a meal. #head outro.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
the true mastery of this topic, it lies not just in being able to describe your own time, your internal clock, but in being able to describe the routines of other people.
Which raises an important question. If you can articulate your personal chronology, can you step outside of yourself and articulate someone else's rhythm?
That is the ultimate next level of conversational fluency.
The final provocative thought for you, the listener, drawing directly from the source material's bonus challenge, is this. Your next goal is to observe and articulate the detailed daily rhythm of someone close to you. Your mother, your father, your best friend.
And why is this such excellent practice? Because it forces you out of your own experience. It requires you to synthesize observation watching, when they make tea, when they check their phone, how they commute, and then apply the structure we just outlined.
Using all the descriptive verbs and timing expressions accurately, even without consulting your own internal schedule.
It's an exercise in empathy, in precision, and in high-level conversational synthesis.
So take this structural blueprint and apply it immediately. Describe your morning to a colleague, describe your evening to your family, or just record your dream weekend on your phone. You're becoming more fluent with every